What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Little Helpful Files. My name is Lindsay. We do cash budgeting, mini savings, and just life in general, all through the glory and by the grace of God. If this is your first time here, we are going to be talking about the HELOC today. I cannot believe it has been almost a year since we have bought our house and got our first lien HELOC set up. And if you guys have been following along, I have done updates on this. I did a 6-month update, and you guys have been asking for some more updates and just for feedback on how this is going for us as we're now coming up on a year. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this. I'm going to give you my honest feelings about it and a couple of things that I've learned over this past year. For starters, if you guys have not watched the first 2 videos, I will make sure to leave a link to the playlist below. I did talk about just what a first lien HELOC is and getting it set up, and then again our 6-month update, kind of our feedback on how it was going. And the first lien HELOC is something that is definitely different. It's not something you hear a lot of people doing. But when my husband and I were looking into purchasing a home, we started to learn more about this, and I felt that the Lord really was just opening up our eyes to some different options that hopefully then would give us more financial stability and peace later on. So, where are we with all of that? When we set all of this up a year ago, there was a lot of questions, uncertainty, and we were a little bit nervous with the whole fact of this being so different and really what it was going to be like having our checking account at zero. I know for me that was something that was very daunting and scary. However, it has been awesome. We've loved it. It's been very easy to manage, and we have also seen our payment go down each month. Now, it's not always going down by huge amounts. Okay, now what I mean by this is that there are some months that our monthly payment dropped by about maybe $20 or $50. And then there are other months, like this previous month, that actually dropped $100. And that's because now we have gotten to a lower interest rate amount. So again, more benefits because we're on a variable and a flexible interest rate. We do have the benefit of that going down. We can always change that interest rate amount if we want. It's very simple. We actually did that earlier in this year, which I did talk about in that second video in the playlist. Our monthly payment that we have to pay is decreasing, is so different because when we had a mortgage, it seemed like it was always increasing. We were always getting these unexpected, increases on it, and it just didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. So that's one thing that's awesome. The way that we have ours set up is that we are paying interest-only payments, but all of the income that my husband is making is going into our HELOC. So what that's doing is allowing the HELOC to sit at the lowest amount possible for the month. And we have all of our expenses set to come out on one date. It's been very easy to manage, and we've definitely seen the benefit pay off with doing it this way. There are so many different reasons why we wanted to set up our house on a first lien HELOC. One of them being the fact that we wanted to have access to our money and to our finances. There are some times when things happen, life happens, expenses come up, and we wanted to be able to cash flow a little bit more, and we've definitely seen the benefit in these past few months. We did have the insurance and also the taxes that had to come out. So because this isn't a mortgage with an escrow account, you do have to factor those in. So that is something that you do want to keep in mind and either budget for or just be ready for the fact that your HELOC is going to go up. It's going to increase a little bit during that time period. Now, it didn't really affect us a whole lot because, again, we're putting all of the income right back into the HELOC as soon as the paychecks come in. So we're still working constantly to pay it down each month. But there are months where we're paying more, or we have more of an excess to be able to put towards the HELOC. And then there's other months where we're paying our normal interest payment and there's not a whole lot extra going towards it. I have liked that part of it because we are able to then pay a lot more on months if we want. And if we do have months that the expenses are just higher, then we can scale back. For example, we did have some things come up with our septic. We had a couple $100s that we had to put towards that. And so really our HELOC has become our sinking fund. It has become the way that we can cash flow the money in and out and just constantly making sure, that we have more that we're going to be putting into the HELOC than we're pulling out of it. That's always what our goal is. That's always what we're striving to do right now. Now, there was something that my husband and I learned that we did not know about, and I don't know that I've heard anybody talking about this part. So there are times where I'm taking cash out for savings challenges and for our variable envelopes, because we do still like to have the cash on hand for those things. Well, again, we're putting all of the money into the HELOC, moving it from the checking. So the checking account was zero, and I went to take money out and I wasn't able to. Every time it kept saying there was insufficient funds. Now, the way that we have this linked, it draws directly from the HELOC whenever we pay a bill. So if something is being charged or coming out of our checking account, the money then just gets deducted from the HELOC, transferred over, and it's covered. However, when you're trying to take money out at the ATM, it's different. You have to actually move your cash into your checking account. So I hadn't really noticed this before, because most of the time I was going to the bank and taking cash out on the day that my husband's paycheck was coming into the account. So I actually hadn't moved money over to the HELOC yet. But this particular day, I hadn't gotten to the ATM. I didn't get a chance to get any money out. And it ended up being after I had transferred the money into the HELOC, and I just had no idea. So if you guys are looking into a first lien HELOC or you have one, just keep that in mind, because that was something we were very unaware of. Now, the other benefit to having the first lien HELOC is the potential down the line to take out the loan from ourselves for other properties or investments. We just really wanted to have, again, that flexibility and to have a little bit more control over our finances. We didn't want all of our cash to be stuck in a place where we didn't have the ability to use it if we wanted. My husband and I have definitely talked about all kinds of different missions and ministries and things that the Lord has put on our heart, and we want to be open and ready for any of those things that might come up. Now, of course, we know that if we do take out something against the home equity line of credit, it will increase our monthly payment. But again, I would rather do it that way than to have to go and get a loan. So we see it as a benefit. If down the road we want to take on maybe a rental property, or right now we're talking about a camper, there's all kinds of different opportunities and things that are available to us because we have the liquidity in the HELOC. So a year in, and we have definitely loved it. We are so glad that we took that leap of faith and that we ended up trying it out, despite what people will say about the interest rate and all of that. There are so many benefits that have outweighed it, and we have definitely enjoyed doing it. So if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd be happy to try to help. But again, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. My husband and I are following what we've been led to do by the Lord, and we are learning and just kind of sharing our experience here. So hopefully it will be a blessing to you, and I thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. God bless.